Do you remember what sensations you experienced in the whirlpool during the Killer Whirlpool episode? Okay. There's another question someone had earlier. Oh yeah, Sigmund Horn. The very first question of the live stream, Sigmund Horn says, what is the most frustrating myth you've ever busted or confirmed? And then Remy, the most recent question in the live stream, what was going through your mind when you did the Whirlpool, Killer Whirlpool? So, Whirlpool, absolutely, the Whirlpool of Death episode, one of the most unpleasant shoots. And not for a reason that shows up on camera. It was just like a classic San Francisco weirdly cold day where it's in the mid 40s and it's not raining or foggy, it's somewhere in between, and here we call that a mizzle. It is like a drizzle and a mist at the same time, and the mizzle is soaking everybody in this 45, 48 degree cold, and we are miserable. And we've built this whirlpool into a 8-foot diameter tank that is 17 feet high. So we had to build a painter's scaffolding all the way around it. And the painter's scaffolding comes with boards that you walk on. And you can imagine that painter's scaffolding is put up one place and taken down, and put up in another place, taken down, put up in another place, taken down. You can imagine how worn and smooth all the floorboards are after a few years of being repeatedly installed and deinstalled. And we had that kind of painter's scaffolding around our experimental space, which meant that in the mizzle, the stairs, the platforms were also slippery. So we were cold, we were miserable, we were slipping, and we were in danger. And then I got into this tank to see if a whirlpool would suck me down. And I had, right, yes. So I was in a wetsuit, so I was not cold. You're asking me my sensations, Remy M. I was not cold. I was in a wetsuit. That was fine. What I was, after a whole bunch of spinning, was violently ill, and I threw up the 2 slices of pizza I ate for lunch. And again, this is also, Whirlpool of Death is like a season 3 or 4. It's early on in our days. So our remote location game was not very good. I don't even think we still had, I don't even think we had easy ups back then. I don't think we had shade, like flea market shade with us at the time. So we were eating our lunch in this like wet, cold room on an abandoned military base while we're trying to do Whirlpool of Death. And then at the end of that episode comes one of my favorite moments with Mr. Heineman. I've often talked on the channel about how simpatico our minds, Jamie Heineman's mind and mine, were while working on building stuff together. And the wrapping up of the Whirlpool set is a perfect example of this. So I filmed the episode, I threw up in the pool, I was there with my own vomit. That's all mildly unpleasant. We're shooting in 45-degree weather. That's significantly unpleasant. Everyone's really cold, really cranky. It's a long day. It goes deep into the nighttime. And after filming and being nauseous, I needed a little downtime. So we got me out of the water, we wrapped the filming we needed to do, and I went to my Land Cruiser and took a nap. And I slept in the car for about 40 minutes just to kind of sleep off my nausea. And when I wake, it's dark, right? Like I said, we worked into the evening. And I look over and I can see the action that's happening is that they've cleared all the scaffolding, and now Jamie is trying, and they've emptied out our Whirlpool tank. All that was pretty straightforward, but now it's time to move this Whirlpool tank. And again, it's 8 feet diameter, 17 feet high. It's about a 3/4 inch thick wall. It's a very heavy thing. And we can't just leave it where it is. We have to move it to a safe fence where it can't get blown over. And Jamie's got this big extended reach forklift, and the crew is standing around. But as I come out of the car and I'm like wiping the sleep from my eyes, I can see that Jamie has a plan, but not everyone is clear about the plan. And so I look over, and so I see all this, and I look over and see Jamie, and he catches my eyes, and he goes, and I'm like, I understood exactly what he wanted. And this is a regular thing with him and I. So the rest of the crew is like, okay, cool, Adam and Jamie, you got it. We're gonna stand back. And they stand back. And then again, without any more words, I give Jamie the signals for, giving him the balance and the pickup. I'm his eyes on the other side of this thing as we move this super giant, big, gangly, dangerous thing to a safe location. A real mix of high and low on that shoot. Thank you. Thank you, Remy, for that question, and also Sigmund Horn. I'm proud of that episode. I think from an experimental standpoint, it's excellent. And I loved the experimental rig. It's just the filming of that episode was brutal and unpleasant. S. Harrington says, you often talk about your time on MythBusters. You often talk about how your time on the show made you an expert in some very specific skill sets like slow motion videography. Over the years, I have noticed the graphical scales you made for backgrounds and slow-mo shots got more complex and more colorful and vibrant. Was this an artistic choice or were they hard-learned lessons? It was an artistic choice, but an artistic choice. The purpose of making something that is visual is to communicate information. Yeah, sure, you can poke holes in that as a statement, but like I'm a believer that if I'm making something that is visual, I am trying to communicate something with that thing that I'm making. I guess you don't even have to qualify it as visual, but within the visual arts, I'm trying to be too abstract. This is ridiculous. On MythBusters, it was really important to me that the audience knew where they were. I became really interested in film as a visual medium in my late teens, and as I started to rewatch the movies of my childhood directed by Spielberg and Lucas and other amazing people, John Carpenter, and I started to apply the things I was learning about film theory to these bubblegum movies of my childhood, I realized how sophisticated they were. And one of the things I learned about Spielberg, almost above any other director, is that even if you don't like his movies, even if there's a movie of his you don't like, the action in Spielberg's movies is so crystal clear. You always, as the audience, know where you are in space and plot. And it's an amazing distillation when you watch one of his movies for that. And so on MythBusters, as I personally got more, as you know, halfway through the show's run, I became an executive producer in title. I had been doing, Jamie and I had been doing that job before that for a couple of years. I took that really seriously. And I wanted the show to be as good as it could be. And for some of our shots, we would be using like anywhere from between 10 and 20 cameras. We'd have GoPros set up in multiple cars and static shots set up all over the place. And when I started to think about these static shots, I started to realize that there was more opportunities for storytelling about these. And I started working with Will Nail and the camera team and Scott Sorensen, et cetera, with making sure that every camera shot of the experimental rig would give you clues about what you were about to see. If you were going to see something come out of a barrel and burst on a wall, I would want to see the barrel in the left part of the frame, and I want to see the wall in the right part of the frame. And the audience member in me knows, okay, I see a port, something's going to come out of that, it's going to hit that. Just that simple thing. Well, then I might look at that and be like, actually, let me make it even more clear. Let me put a piece of colored tape around the edge of the barrel so you see the black hole of the barrel. Let me put a target over here on the wall that it's going to hit. Let me put an arrow that shows the trajectory and right trajectory. In this, I was trying for all of the ancillary camera shots to let the audience know what was going to happen in that shot. Because if you see a shot and you can't quite parse where it is, well, now you're suddenly looking at it and trying to place it within the shots you've already seen, and now your brain's being used for things that aren't necessary. The more, as a communicator, I can make the job your brain is trying to do of piece together what you're seeing, the easier I can make that, the faster you're going to realize why we're doing this experiment, how we're doing it, and what we're hoping to get out of it. And all of that comes out of my earliest training in graphic design. I found this beautiful book I have, Information Graphics, which is a seminal tome about communicating complex information in various different ways. And it's less a guide in how to do it than a compendium of thousands of ways other really clever and brilliant people have communicated information through graphics. What I was really looking for was my Massimo Vignelli New York City subway style guide. In the 80s or 70s, this amazing design firm in New York, Massimo and Vignelli, got the job by the New York Transit Authority to redesign New York City's subway map and all the signs. And the visual communication of that design system, there's a whole book of it. It's worth putting in your library if you're at all interested in being a font nerd or a graphic nerd. It is some of the clearest communication of information ever. And I love collecting style guides by great design firms because you learn so much. And really, graphic design is just coming down to the simplest thing of like, if I have a single element on a page and I've got some piece of writing about it, like, can I tell what I'm supposed to be looking at and what the writing is telling me? Is it an invitation? Do I know where to go and when? Is it a gallery opening? Who's in it? What kind of art will I see? When you answer these questions through the medium of graphic design, I frequently found myself as a creator, like, holding these things at great distance, putting them across the shot, putting them really far away to sort of see their balance and their flow. And all I'm asking myself every time I'm looking at these is the information I want to be communicated being communicated fast enough? That's it. So, SHarrington9614, it was an artistic choice, but a choice born of wanting to communicate. And it wasn't like there were hard-learned lessons, like we had made mistakes. It was more like, as we got better at doing this show, and I think this worked for all of us hosts, as we got better, more of our brains freed up to add some other weirdness to this and make the story funnier or stranger or interesting in some way. All of our senses of humor came into play in different episodes for different things. I freaking love when Carrie painted the Coco Chanel label on the leather cannon they made. That really happened, right? Yeah. She made a Coco Chanel, was that it or was it Louis Vuitton? She did a haute couture treatment on a construction those guys did that was magnificent. Thank you for watching. I wanted to talk to you about Tested membership. The Tested members are a key community that we find really, really remarkable. That's very separate from Tested and from YouTube. The Tested members, they buy each other memberships during our live streams. So if you're wondering whether to become a member, watch one of our live streams and someone may just give you one. It is hard to overestimate how much the Tested members actually make possible on this channel. They give us a lot of wiggle room. They give us a huge amount of feedback. That's a member right now. Thank you so much for enjoying your membership. Link in the description for everything you need to know. And for all the members out there, thank you, thank you, thank you.